What happens when the person who studies the human body turns that same clinical eye toward obsession? On today's show, I have an emergency room physician who splits her time between the chaos of the ER and the darker chaos of the written page. She's the author of the novels The Broken Heart and The Fatal Mind, the award-winning novella Just Desserts, and the co-host of the Scream Kings horror podcast. Her work centers on fierce, morally complex women who operate in the gray spaces between justice and destruction. Her new novella, Eat Your Heart Out, follows Jules, a first-year medical student whose obsession with a magnetic and confident woman crosses every line between longing and possession. The story is dark, intimate, and deeply unsettling. This is the Dark Mind Podcast. If you enjoy the show, please support it by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Your support helps keep the dark conversation alive. So without further ado, I give you N.J. Gallegos. NJ, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for inviting me back.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me on this 15th day of February 2026. I'm always happy when you contact me about your upcoming work, but my interest was really piqued when I read the words lesbian cannibal. I'll say that again. Lesbian cannibal. So, as usual, you brought your unique perspective from your experience as a physician, your signature sense of gallows humor from working in the emergency room, as well as your talent as a writer of dark, transgressive prose. So, thank you for sharing your work with me, and thank you for joining me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I thought that those keywords, lesbian cannibal, might get you a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, so kind of a brief synopsis. The book is about a woman named Jules, who is a first-year medical student with an exceptional mind for anatomy and a carefully controlled emotional life. That control shatters when she meets Maureen, a magnetic, confident woman who effortlessly draws desire. What begins as attraction quickly deepens into something darker and more consuming. Jules mistakes intensity for intimacy, chemistry for destiny, and fixation for love. As their relationship lurches between passion and distance, Jules begins to unravel, blurring the boundaries between study and obsession, and that is where the story really takes off. So, what initially drew you to the idea of a medical student whose obsession with anatomy bleeds into a romantic obsession?
So I have to preface this with saying I actually got the cover of this book before I even came up with the story. So the cover is a pre-made by Ruth Anna Evans, and she does awesome work. And I saw it. The anatomical heart, as you can imagine, called out to me. So I had to get the cover. And then I was like, well, shit, I better come up with a reason that I just spent money on this. So, I did a little bit of introspection and whatnot. And I've always wanted to write a story that takes place in medical school because, as you can imagine, the environment is a bit intense. You're putting 100 to 200 very high achieving people all together, and everybody's used to being the smartest, the best. You make them study constantly. You deprive them of sleep. You make them compete with each other. And things don't go very well, as you can imagine. And if you think about it, most people go to medical school immediately after college. So you're 20, 22, 23, 24. How much shit did you have figured out whenever you were that age?
Not a goddamn thing.
Correct. So it's just like a powder keg. Like you're just waiting for drama. So I was like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's make it happen.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So have you ever done that before? Had a cover that basically gave birth to the story? Because I feel like I've interviewed at least one person before that's told me that.
No, this would be the first time. Although I did buy another pre-made cover that has this like really bloody syringe and a very, nefarious looking needle. So now I have to come up with something else.
Yeah. Interesting. That could be your new muse, pre-made covers. Just birth it for almost like a prompt. And I know prompt is a dirty word. I don't mean that kind of prompt.
No, yeah, muse would be right. And honestly, after writing this story, I kind of want to follow Jules, into attendinghood and see what kind of, mischief she gets into.
Yeah. So, whenever you were kind of breaking down medical school, I thought back to that. We've talked about him before, the TikToker who I think he's an ophthalmologist, but he always, when he portrays neurology students, he always has them with a percussion hammer and they're just like shadows of human beings because they've been put through the ringer. Like, I guess they get browbeaten into submission.
Yeah. And the ER doctors always have the bike helmet on because we're adrenaline junkies. And
oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, since medical training encourages students to see bodies as objects in order to heal them, how do you portray the moment when Jules turns that same lens towards erotic ownership instead?
I think that it's the first night that they slept together. I think that set those wheels in motion. So, Maureen also goes by Mo, by giving her body to Jules. I think that Mo kind of sealed her fate. And unfortunately, she didn't realize that she was dealing with somebody, a bit unhinged. But if you think about it, all the hormones and like neurotransmitters that are involved, during like a sexual encounter, you have your oxytocin, which is like your cuddle hormone. And then you have your dopamine, which, you get every time you do a hit of cocaine or whatever, eat your candy. And all of these things, they act to perpetuate our species and they act as a drug. So Jules gets her first hit. It's like doing heroin and she is addicted and it is hopeless.
Yeah, doesn't MDMA, the primary psychoactive drug in ecstasy or Molly, I think it's referred to as these days, isn't it primarily an activator of oxytocin and prolactin? I'm sorry to get so technical, listeners at home, but when they depict people on ecstasy, they're all just loving and like, oh, I love you so much. So I've always wondered, is that what it's kind of boosting in your system, is like oxytocin and prolactin, those cuddle hormones that happen after sexual intercourse?
I know it definitely increases amounts of certain ones. I can't claim to know exactly which ones they are, but I also think that it lowers like your inhibitions. Like, have you heard of the default mode network?
So
it's kind of just like the way that your brain and your nervous system thinks, and it's kind of rooted in like evolution and whatnot. So like, we tend to be an anxious sort of species because you have to be in case there's something, looking to hunt you or whatnot out in the wild. But what like MDMA and things like that do, like other hallucinogenics, they're supposed to dampen that default mode network and like kind of change the way that you think. So you're more likely to like let barriers down and, be very open about like feelings or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. We've had to go from keeping an eye out for rabid animals that are going to tear us apart to like phone scams.
Yeah.
It's like, don't send that person money. Oh God.
Yeah, or panicking every time you get a new email. I mean, that's pretty exhausting.
Oh, just an email in itself, or one that's like like a scam that's worded to make you anxious?
Any email, man, you never know what it could be.
I hate physical mail that's got the window in it.
Mm.
Unless I can see that it says pay to the order of, then it's okay.
It never says that, though, is the problem.
Every once in a while, and God, is that orgasmic when you see pay to the order of. That is fantastic. Oh, can't wait to open that up. Well, Maureen's effortless magnetism pulls Jules in fast. So how did you craft her to feel like both a catalyst and a blank screen for projection?
I like this question. This is a good one. It's a novella, right? So it doesn't get too long or too wordy. And I think that I do keep Maureen Mo a little bit one-dimensional. You know, you don't learn a lot about her. Like, you don't learn about her likes, her dislikes, like what she wants, you know, what she wants to be when she grows up. So she already kind of is a blank screen for Jules to project, you know, whatever she wants onto her, you know, because she truly doesn't know her. And in the same sense, she's giving Jules something that she has not ever experienced before, you know, that feeling of belonging and acceptance. And, you know, she just throws any crumb of affection Jules' way. And I mean, it's going to draw her in. And I think that because Jules doesn't really know Maureen very well, she puts her up on that pedestal and she's just kind of ignoring any red flags and mindlessly believing that she's going to turn things her way. And it doesn't, unfortunately, match what happens.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, were they both on ecstasy the first time, or was it just Jules?
Just Jules.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, that answers that question. Because Maureen, was very coquettish, and I couldn't quite figure out whether it's because she's manipulative or she's just really carefree.
I think there's probably a hint of both in there. I think that if we probably delved into Maureen's psychology, you know, she likes people to like her. And I mean, who doesn't? But she's probably more prone to falling prey to that than others.
Yeah. Well, you describe her as very physically attractive. So maybe a little narcissistic, likes to be worshipped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Well, how did you decide which parts of Jules' obsession would feel relatable at first so that the reader realizes too late that they've been following her down the wrong hallway?
So, I mean, who of us hasn't, like, crushed on somebody, you know, from afar, you know, looked at them, admired them, maybe Facebook stalked them or went down like an Instagram doom
Maybe
scroll.
hid in the bushes. No, just me? Okay.
No.
Just kidding.
It's
kidding,
performance
people.
art.
Serious.
Performance art. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to expose a little bit of my crazy here because why not? I've driven by people's houses before just to see if they're outside. Like,
oh,
I know. It's
get a
not great.
view.
Yeah. You know, just make sure that like all the windows and doors are locked and whatnot. But,
It's out of concern.
Yeah. I'm just making sure everybody's fine. So I kind of tried to make the obsession like a little bit cute and harmless and like relatable, you know? Now when you evolve that a little bit, you know, when you start going stalkerish, like you're staying in the bushes, like daily, destroying property, you know, hurting other people that Maureen is dating, that's going to be your first hint that this isn't all wholesome. Like it's going to evolve into something more dangerous.
Then you end up on a true crime podcast with somebody speaking very deeply. Jules hid in the bushes nightly.
Well, I would say day would be better because you could, you know, unless you have night vision goggles, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those are cheap now. You can get really good night. I don't. I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know that.
Not speaking from experience or
Yeah,
anything, but
no,
I
I
hear they're
don't. I
great.
mean, that's just what I hear. Asking for a friend. No, just kidding. Well, what literary or psychological influences shape the way you portrayed Jules's internal monologue, especially the quiet self-justification that comes with escalating obsession?
I'm sure that you've probably watched the Netflix series You, based on
My wife
Carol.
has, but
Yeah.
I've laid down and she's had it on and been like, "What is this? This guy is intense."
So yeah, that the books are pretty great. You know, you're in his head, so he's monologuing to you about like who's he's obsessed with, why, how he justifies all of his actions, and he takes you through his train of thought with everything. So I wanted to create a character that is very unhinged, but you're seeing kind of why she is the way she is, and you're still kind of sympathizing with her and rooting for her to some extent. And maybe that says something about me, that I kind of root for Joe Goldberg, but I mean, whatever. We know that I need some therapy. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I feel it's incumbent upon me to do a little share.
Please do.
Yes, this is kind of the vibe we're putting down here. Does she even realize he's there? I've never seen this. I mean, I really haven't ever seen a full episode, but
Yeah, I think she probably doesn't realize how he's like, you know, admiring her and thinking about her. But yeah.
didn't he work at a bookstore?
Hmm.
Okay, and his name was Joe.
Joe.
Yeah. All right. Joe is creepy. Well, you wrote that Jules, quote, convinces herself that devotion justifies anything. So, what kinds of devotion narratives do you think we absorb culturally that make this kind of thinking possible?
I think we're bombarded with this type of stuff, like from a young age, if you think about it, like Disney movies. I mean, that is propaganda for the one and soulmates and things, you know? You have somebody slaying a dragon and, you know, saving you from your 100-year slumber by making out with you when you can't consent. I mean, it's pretty romantic if you think about it. But no, like you have like rom-coms where people, they do like absolutely batshit insane things. They have these ridiculous conflicts that would probably be resolved if you just talked about it, but they have to assume everything is very dramatic. But no matter what, they end up together in the end, you know? And I think we as a society, we put love on a pedestal. So, you know, if people feel like they don't have their like match or their mate, like maybe they feel like they're not like worthy. So, you know, if you find somebody that's, if you want to audition for the role, or you believe that they are the one, you know, you're one shot at like love, happiness, ever after. People are, it almost is like, you're go do crazy things. You have to do this. This is your destiny. This is your fate. And when this question made me think of, have you ever watched How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
Yes, the one with McConaughey and the blonde woman. What's her name?
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, yeah.
It just kind of reminded me of that, because it's like, so they were betting each other, right? That they would make each other fall in love, but they were just doing the most off-putting things to each other. Yet it still worked. It was beautiful. Great soundtrack too.
Yeah, that can put people in a pretty dangerous place, because I know some people, like, I don't know if it's in the DSM-5 or not, but I really think love addiction exists. People that are addicted to limerence, you know, the infatuation, and when it goes away, they just go to another relationship. I really think that exists. And I have seen like people that I've worked with in the past that have just got themselves into so much trouble chasing this fairy tale like thing that you only see in movies. And I'm not saying that you can't, meet someone amazing, fall in love, and it's good, but there's a form of that that's not like Disney magical,
Yeah. I think that you're right. Like, I don't know if it's like a formal thing either, but I think I read somewhere that there's studies of people that are like, newly in love, like in the honeymoon phase. And it's similar to like how somebody with like a drug addiction's brain lights up, like the same centers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think it is so much anymore, but I'm Gen X, so like I'm a pediatric Gen X. I'm right there on the border, but I was a latchkey kid. I promise you, I was a latchkey kid. So from my generation, it was not creepy or stalkery to persistently pursue somebody. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying like that's what was depicted in the movies. And even before that, like the boomer, I guess it would be the boomer generation, like that. I forget the name of the film, but the one that's got that musical number, Baby, it's cold outside.
Oh, yeah. And it's like such a creepy song if you really break it down.
Yeah, because like one of my wife's favorite movies is Elf, and there's a scene in there where she's in the shower and he hears her singing it in the shower, and I'm just like listening to the cadence and them doing the whole cutesy thing. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And my wife mentioned, she's like, yeah, there's a lot of people pissed off that they did this musical number. I was like, why? And she's like, well, if you listen to the words, you kind of get it. But if you watch the movie, like the actual scene, you definitely get it. So I watched it. I was like, oh my God, this is a little intense. Oh shit. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny how almost, well, I mean, in that case, it's basically non-consensual persistence, and then maybe a little bit less persistence in the later generation was deemed like a romantic thing. Was like, oh no, you're not like stalking them, you're courting them.
Right. Yeah. It's normalized.
Mm-hmm. Well, circling back to the book, desire morphs into entitlement very quietly. So, what small, unnamed entitlement feels most human and therefore most chilling to you?
This one I had to think about a little bit. And I think that just the fact of Mo giving Jules access to her. So whether that was, consensual access, like to her body, access to speak with her, whatnot. And I think that doing that made Jules feel like she almost had the right to belong and be included in her life just because it was allowed one time.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you wrote the escalation, what did you see as the most dangerous moment that still looks harmless from the outside?
So when you say the escalation, just as it ramps up, you're not meaning the like final, explosive escalation.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Like the reason it's allowed to escalate is because there are these slow steps that seem harmless. And so what was the most dangerous one of those steps that still looked harmless, but basically kind of took her to the point of no return?
I think the fact that Maureen, so she told Jules that she doesn't want to be exclusive, like she wants to date around, and she was upfront with that. She did say that. And then the fact that Jules sees Maureen with another one of their classmates, I think that it's the thing that probably triggers her the most. It makes her feel the most like entitled or some ownership. I think that if Maureen had not dated anybody else, there wouldn't be that like primal threat. It probably wouldn't have activated her as much. So it's, it looks harmless because people should be able to date other people, especially if they're like upfront and they communicate about it. But it definitely set Jules off.
Yeah, so Mo said, made it clear that she didn't want to be in any sort of exclusive relationship, but I guess Jules was assuming that, well, yeah, that's what she said. But then once we were together, she, of course, changed her mind because it was amazing for her as it was for me.
Yep. It's like you say something, your words say one thing, but your actions say another. So you choose which ones to believe.
Indeed. Well, what do you think this story says about the way people use labels like love or soulmate? I mean, we've already alluded to this, but to use those terms to excuse behavior that might otherwise be considered predatory, which, I've already mentioned kind of persistence, I guess, would be probably the most predatory, unless you can think of something else.
Yeah, I mean, the persistence, I think, is pretty significant. And I think that, like, using those terms, like, and that destiny, that fate, like, this is supposed to be, like, you're adding justifications. Like, you can say, oh my gosh, like, we're soulmates, we're in love, but, I'm going to commit some pretty despicable acts in the name of this because I love you so much. Like, and you're looking at this relationship between Jules and Maureen through the lens of somebody who thinks that way. And they think that every one of their actions is reasonable and called for. So obviously, I think it's more terrifying to peer into the mind of somebody who thinks like Jules, and they just see how righteous and whatnot they feel in their convictions. Because, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because I wrote the thing, but I feel for her.
Yeah, and soulmate, that kind of takes choice away because it's like, no, it is destiny. It's in the stars. You have no choice type of, that's like the subtext. That's not what they're saying out loud, but kind of what's implied. And the movie that I was trying to remember earlier, Street Kings. Have you ever seen that movie?
Mm-mm.
It's a really good crime drama. And Hugh Laurie, Dr. House.
Oh, yeah.
He plays an internal affairs officer, and he's telling this anecdote about how he met his wife. He went to the same bistro to have lunch every day, I guess, something like that. And he always asked for her section. And even if there wasn't anything available in her section, he would wait. And, talks about her not giving him the time of day or something like that. And then he holds up his wedding band. He's like, persistence. That's the key. So, just kind of a low level example of what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, also, that's a lot of money to go every day to some bistro. Like, that those prices were a bit much.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what it was is he asked her out and she wouldn't go out with him. So he just kept showing up. And that was like his version of the date. He could talk to her if he sat in her section where she worked, which I guess is stalking her at work. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. And like, you're pretty much just saying like you don't respect boundaries, right? So you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until they drop that boundary.
Yeah, what the woman is supposed to do is drop it and be like, oh, he's such a rapscallion,
Yeah.
I'm going to marry him, Well, so every slight feels catastrophic to Jules. So what early wound or pattern do you imagine created that hair trigger sensitivity in someone otherwise so controlled? And as we've, spoke about already, it's a novella, so you can't really go deep into their background.
I hint at it a little bit with her relationship with her mom. The novella takes place pretty much from like Halloween to Thanksgiving, so it's not very long. But she doesn't spend Thanksgiving with her family. They're not close. Her mom's more interested in, the flavor of the week, and putting, men above her own daughter. So Jules gets kind of used to being the second best, overlooked and starved for affection. And I mentioned it elsewhere that she is a little too intense with some of her other love affairs, whether it's her going after like unavailable women, coming on too strong. So when she gets any kind of affection reciprocated with Mo and then it gets taken away, it's like this tug of war that she almost gets addicted to, and it makes those slights even more intense. And I kind of mentioned this too in the novella, but that experiment with the mice where they're like trained to hit a lever and the lever dispenses food. And if it consistently dispenses food every time they push the lever, I mean, they'll just do it whenever they want, right? If it never dispenses food, they stop. But if it's just kind of like sporadic and whatnot, like they're like Gamblers Anonymous. They're like, like, that's Jules. She's hitting the lever constantly because she just wants that little crumb.
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't there? Well, I guess this is more an example of people not wanting to be alone with their own thoughts. The one where a person sits alone and they're told this buzzer, if you tap it, it'll shock you. It won't, it's not going to harm you, but it will hurt. And they leave them alone for an hour. And finally they get bored enough where they're just like, because they want something to do. They don't want to sit alone with their own thoughts.
Might as well electrocute myself.
Yeah, I think I read that in a meditation book. That's what it was. It was a book on meditation. They're like, people are so afraid to examine themselves and their own thoughts that they will find, even if it's painful, they will find something else to occupy their minds.
I would be kind of curious, though. I'd be like, well, what do you mean it's not like that painful? Like, I would,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I want to know, just to know.
Well, where does control show up in this story in ways that aren't obvious, like control over language, timing, access, or even silence?
Well, you probably noticed this because you got the ARC, but there's a QR code that the reader can scan that takes them to a playlist, right? And the playlist is songs that I mention throughout the novella. So to some extent, I would say the music selection kind of influences that. So music can heavily influence one's mood. Like, I'm very into music. Like, I have to listen to it when I write, when I read, anything, so I can like think. And so,
are you
like,
afraid to be with your own thoughts? Do you need a shock button?
I mean, maybe the shock button might not be the worst idea ever. Believe it or not, I do meditate every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so my thoughts.
Sit with you. Okay.
I can.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you to be a smartass. I apologize.
Yeah, that's why I like you. That's why I like you. Actually, now that we're on this topic, like, I don't really have much of an internal monologue. It's just like, there's like nothing up there. Yeah.
Even when you're at work, when you're in diagnostic mode, you don't have like competing voices saying, oh, no, that's confirmation bias. You're projecting. You need to stick with these two symptoms. What do you're afraid because of what happened with the last patient. You need to stay. You don't have that kind of stuff going on in your mind?
Not really. I don't have like an inner voice. Like, it's more like I think in pictures, or I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah. So take that and think about that.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Right. But so to go back to the music, if you're listening to Berlin's "Take My Breath Away," like, it's going to make you feel some type of way. And I'm going to say that because I think Berlin's "Take My Breath Away" is like the top romantic song ever. I do.
Berlin. I'm not much of a music connoisseur.
Oh, come on. The theme of Top Gun.
Oh, okay. Boy,
great song.
I yelled so loud I heard myself echoing in your headphones. Okay,
great
gotcha.
Song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I tend also to kind of use like shorter, like more punchy wording and sentences, like to heighten the action or to kind of show like fragmentation of somebody's like mind or kind of offer some confusion. But I was aiming to introduce kind of like some mood music with the playlist, so it got you kind of into that perspective of a jilted lover.
Gotcha. Well, how does the title "Eat Your Heart Out" function as a warning or an invitation or both? And what do you want it to suggest before someone even opens the book?
I think that the title prepares the reader quite well, since the idiom literally means that one is suffering from like excessive longing for someone or something unattainable. And this being pitched as my lesbian cannibal novella, it has kind of like a double entendre meaning, and you know I love that shit, so.
Absolutely. Well, the tagline frames ownership as the true hunger. So what do you hope readers argue about after finishing the book, especially if they disagree who holds power in the relationship?
I like the idea of people just like arguing about my book and like, you know, having like such a fandom that people are like,
there's like Reddit boards, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this is a hard question.
And by the way, I have a Reddit, people. If you want to argue about this, you can.
I need to make one. Yeah, please go argue on Vincent's Reddit for me, please. I would like that quite a bit.
Yes. Well, then just a call to action. Argue, people.
Please, God.
Well, how does Eat Your Heart Out fit into your larger body of work that often centers on women pushing back against oppression or harm? And in what ways is this story a different kind of revenge narrative?
I wanted to portray a very toxic lesbian relationship and all that comes with it. I wanted to show that women can also be the bad guy, you know, no matter what their sexuality is, anyway, sexuality, like relationships are very tricky. And I wanted to show that it could like, you know, there would be a very slippery slope. And I also wanted to show that there's like abuse and trauma in all relationships across the board. You know, just because it's two women doesn't mean that everything's just sunshine and rainbows. And in fact, I wanted to put a plug in for somebody else's book. So Carmen Maria Machado wrote this. It's kind of like a memoir called In the Dream House that's about domestic violence within lesbian relationships and how it kind of can play out like insidiously. And it's almost, I don't know, not as expected maybe as it would be in like maybe a male-female relationship. So top 10 book of like favorites of mine. So go read it, people. You'll thank me later.
In the Dream House?
Mm-hmm. In the Dream House.
Carmen Maria Machado. All right. Go get it, folks.
It's so good. Like, magnifique.
Magnifique? Well, you've talked about writing as a kind of therapy after years in the emergency room. So how do you decide which emotional or psychological experiences you're willing to channel into your fiction and which ones you leave out? Or do you leave any of them out?
I mostly go off the vibes, man, you know, just the vibes. But
yeah,
no, you know, but if something kind of leaves an imprint on my psyche, like it's something that I think about, I keep going back to, if it's making me lose sleep, then it's a candidate for me. Not that I put like personal details or anything in there, but it's a way for me to like work through my feelings on things. And it's a lot cheaper than paying somebody to listen to me. So.
You need to write a book called HIPAA Law for Physician Authors. How to stay within the ethical guidelines. Yeah,
it's punchy. I like the title too.
Yeah. Oh, that was just descriptive, but I guess HIPAA law for. It's all yours. Use it. I don't.
Thanks.
No
I appreciate that.
Well, you write across dark thrillers and medically themed horror. So what is your process for deciding which clinical details sharpen dread and which ones would distract from the emotional blade of a scene by being pedantic? And I got to tell you, just my personal proclivities or characteristics of what I enjoy, I love technical, but I know, especially because I do have some, medical background, but to a broader audience, do you rely on an editor or do you kind of know what you need to leave out? Like, oh, this is just me being overly technical.
Like info dumping. I think I'm pretty good at self-editing, that kind of thing, because, I mean, okay, so as an ER doctor, like you're kind of known as the jack of all trades, right? So you understand a little bit about like every specialty. But if you go too in depth, there's too many big words I might not know. I'm already lost. Like, so I think I'm kind of know how to pare that down. Although I will say I probably lean a lot into like the gross. maybe too much because I love making people squirm with language. Like I like to kind of put myself in a scene and decide what would like unsettle me or, conversely the character. Is it the scent of the blood? Is it like the sinister gleaming of a scalpel? You like that? Now, if it's not something I would be bothered by, I let it go. Like, one thing I've used it as an example. So like a chest tube, right? It's probably one of my least favorite procedures to do just because of like how it feels. So that's something that I kind of channel into my writing. So like a chest tube, if somebody had a gunshot wound and they collapsed their lung or car accident or whatnot, we have to literally use a scalpel to cut into somebody's ribs and like dissect through their ribs to put this tube in. And like the feeling of it, like, cause you use your hands, your fingers to do it. It's like a really gritty cotton ball ripping apart and it makes me kind of want to die. I know.
Yeah. And
awful.
you can't really give them much for pain, can you? You've got to like just dig in there, right?
I mean, sometimes like you can use numbing medicine. And I mean, like it's pretty good, but like depending on how big somebody is, like needles are only so long. Or you can, if you have time and it's kind of a controlled situation, like you can give somebody sedation, like ketamine or propofol or whatnot and put them out. But like if it is a truly, they're going to code and die quickly, like sometimes there's not time for meds and things. Like I've had a situation like that and it made my butthole pucker a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between like technical details for dramatic effect. If you're getting like really into the gore or something life and death. Because even if it's, even if you're using $25 words or talking about equipment that, it's not really clear what it's for, just by the virtue of you describing the scene, people can kind of put the pieces together. But like if you go full on Bret Easton Ellis in American Psycho, where you're describing the equipment that you're using the same way he describes clothes, black Armani jacket with a, if I was writing a book, I imagine I would put all those details in because I like it for some reason, but I seriously doubt the average horror reader would be like, dude, stop.
Yeah. I think it would maybe depend on like your main character. If you were maybe portraying like a surgeon with a god complex or something, like it maybe would work kind of like it does in American Psycho, but I don't know. I feel like that kind of stuff, even me, somebody medical, like that gets boring to me. Like I want to kind of move on and move the story along a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you've stated that you prefer first person because you struggle with head hopping in the third. So what does locking into one obsessive consciousness allow you to hide from the reader that enhances the horror?
I feel like I'm getting a little better, but I think that short stories for me, they lend themselves a lot better to the third person. But like if I'm, getting into nitty gritty details like a novella or a novel, I got to go first person. Just because, especially like in this setting, you have somebody like Jules who's harboring like delusions and whatnot. It's kind of fun because you're writing almost like an unreliable narrator who is believing in everything that they're doing, saying, and feeling, but like, is it actually reality, And I think that locking onto the one perspective, even when they feel that they're in the right and they feel like they're completely justified, that they're the hero of their own story, I think that makes it like more horrifying. Yeah, it's kind of depending on, the reader's view. Or, I mean, maybe you could make it less horrifying, but obviously I tend to go towards the more horrifying as I do.
Yeah, and with Jules, it's actually, even though it's first person, it's almost still like it's I don't know, maybe about 3 different personalities. Like she's got dissociative personality disorder because there's her when she's in love, there's her when she's jealous, there's her when she's homicidal, and then there's her where she's just like so confused and questioning everything she knows and believes. So
She could use some therapy, I think, that lady. Yeah.
Talkspace. use coupon code DarkMind. They're not a sponsor, but I've always dreamed
maybe
about.
They should be. Maybe
yeah,
they should
Talkspace. Trust me, we all need therapy. Everybody that listens, myself included.
Let me know if you get them as a sponsor, and you can thank me later.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a little bit. You write novels, novellas, and short stories. So what does the novella form give you in the term of tension and pacing that a novel might dilute or a short story might rush?
You've seen Zoolander, right?
Oh, yeah. I could even do the move. Like, I'm not going to get up and do it now, but I can do it.
Damn, I was like, really? I want you to picture, was his name Mogatu or whatever? Novellas are so hot right now, guys.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
That's exactly what I want you to feel like.
Okay.
But yeah. So I think I love a novella. Like, I think it is honestly the perfect length to facilitate like quality character development so a reader could connect with the character and care. And it's long enough to create appropriate tension and conflict, but it doesn't have a lot of erroneous details and filler. Like, I think that they're short and to the point to a point. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But I love them. I love them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just had to put it up. we love Mogatu.
Novellas are so hot right now. Yes.
Well, you pull inspiration from the realities around you. So what boundaries do you set so your day job doesn't swallow your creative life and your creative life doesn't bleed, no pun intended, into your ability to do the job?
He's still got it, guys. I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing, honestly. And I think that it's kind of a requirement of the job to be able to do that in the ER. You can't, not to, be a mood killer or anything, but like, you have to be able to go from a situation that is very like depressing, like maybe like a pediatric code where they don't make it. And you have to be able to like completely pull yourself together and like be on to go see the next patient and not let that affect things. So I think I'm pretty good at separating the two sides of myself. If anything, though, I think that having both sides has helped me be the best I can be in each situation. Like, I've just kind of embraced, sometimes like the ER is not fun. Like, sometimes it kind of sucks, but like, you have to embrace the suck. You have to use it for your art, I'm
going to get a t-shirt that says embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah. I guess compartmentalizing. You've got to file that emotion into a different area and almost quarantine it so you can deal with it later. Go back into
it's a blessing and a curse because like at the time you don't have the like bandwidth or wherewithal to even process it, so you have to put it away. And then it comes back and gets you later, though. I think that's why a lot of people, like in, healthcare or like police or whatnot, like they suffer from PTSD because we don't actually deal with the things when we should.
Yeah. Well, you started writing during COVID, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. COVID as a way to cope with burnout, anxiety, and depression from ER work, as we have just been speaking about. So has writing continued to function as therapy, or has it become its own source of pressure?
Still working pretty good for my therapy.
Dope.
I know, right? So like with Eat Your Heart Out, for example, I worked through some complicated feelings from a past relationship. So it helped me become more mentally sane. And on days off, like when I'm off, I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to write, which I mean can be a good thing, but also can be a bad thing. Like if I'm not feeling it, I can go, days or weeks without writing, which isn't great for output, but I think that it allows me to keep the pursuit fun for like when I want to do it. That being said, a deadline is sometimes welcome because that's how I function. I like to keep things until the last second and then do them because it's, I don't know, ADHD. Yeah, I don't know. I love it. And it makes me get it done.
Gotcha. So you were saying how this book helped you come to terms with past relationships. So you've basically made peace with the fact that you murdered and ate your ex.
Is
that what you're saying?
No.
I'm just kidding, folks. She didn't eat her.
No,
so
not in that way.
I didn't mean that. I meant, like cannibal. Okay, moving on.
You got to be careful with the lesbians, man.
Yeah, I know. I know, and I'm gonna tread lightly from now on.
Please don't.
Okay. Well, not really speaking of, we're on a podcast right now, but so now that I've said that, speaking of podcasts, how is the Scream Kings podcast going?
Thank you for asking. We're doing pretty good. We're hoping to launch a Patreon soon with extra perks. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I mean, if you want to have solo episodes with each one of us, I have plans on going on many a rant about things. So if you like to listen to my word vomit, please.
You're not going to do makeup tutorials, are you?
You want to know what's sad? I do. The only way I know how to do my makeup is I have this like CoverGirl eyeshadow that's probably like 20 years old. And it has like a tutorial of how to do my eyeshadow. That's the only way I know. Isn't that sad?
No, I mean, I was just cracking a joke about makeup tutorials.
And then I'm divulging that I don't know how to put on makeup. How embarrassing.
You don't need makeup. You are a natural beauty.
God, you just know what to say, don't you? I like that. I appreciate that.
Well, speaking of beauty, if Maureen, is Maureen or Mo modeled after someone? And if so, who? Because you're pretty descriptive with Maureen in this book. She's got, she's toned, like athletic. She's got blonde hair, right?
Mm-hmm. Blue eyes.
Yeah, blue eyes.
Like a Barbie.
So, yeah. So was she modeled after anybody or just kind of?
She's a little bit of many women not many. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm like a pimp or something, but like the book. I don't want to act like, like a fuck boy.
Yeah. I want to talk about my body count right now.
Yeah. Let's not get into that. But the whole book is kind of loosely inspired by a relationship I had in medical school. So she's kind of a stand-in for the woman, although, oh, dang, does that make me Jules? Oh, shit. Anyway, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Our relationship, though, was more of like 50-50. We both were like dumpster fire nightmares. So like, yeah, it's just you love to pour that gasoline and watch each other burn because, so maybe Maureen's kind of a blank screen for a lot of the women like in the past that I've liked because I tend to like my ladies' femme. So like in college and whatnot, I tended to fall for like unavailable straight women. And I had to get over that.
Well, so do you want to know who was in my head for just based on your description?
Ooh, tell me.
Natasha Henstridge.
Let's see. Oh,
she coming through? Yeah.
Yeah. What is she?
What
is she on?
You remember her from Species, the second one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I could see that. I kind of had like Brittany Snow in my head.
Brittany Snow. Who is Brittany Snow? Is Brittany Snow an actor or?
Yeah, she's in. Gosh, she's in a lot of stuff these days. Hunting Wives. She's in that The Beast in Me. It's on Netflix now. She's in John Tucker Must Die and Lesbians. Listen, she kisses Sophia Bush in that movie, so you should probably go watch it.
All right. Yeah, blonde hair, blue eyes. I got it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I like yours too. Yours works.
Well, let's see here. Would you like to read a passage from the book?
You know what? I would. Right. Thank you for asking.
Is it going to be a spicy scene?
No, because I feel like I can't read that with a straight face.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to either. Once you get into like the real naughty language, it'd be like,
oh my God. Yeah, because I'm like a teenage boy sense of humor too, so like I would be just snickering because I can't help myself. Oh my God. So I'm going to start at chapter 5. So some backstory. Jules and Maureen, they spent a night of passion together, and
oh, did
they? They did.
Oh, they did.
I'm not reading that because I can't, because I'll be laughing. And the chapter picks up with Jules in the anatomy lab with her partners, and they're talking about what happened. So let me read it to you. Let me drink a little bit of my strawberry soda. All right. We donned nitrile gloves, pulling them over long sleeves. A familiar peace drifted over me, and I flexed my fingers, luxuriating in the snug confines. Skin tight and sexy, depending on who wore them. 2 tables over, Mo snapped hers into place, knitting her fingers together and stretching. Lithe fingers. Gorgeous digits, truly. Remarkable. They'd awakened new depths within me. Feeling my gaze, her eyes crinkled at the corners as she looked at me, a warm smile hidden by her surgical mask. Dude, how did it go with Maureen? Chris held a scalpel purely for show. When faculty meandered about, stopping to pimp us on structures, he dutifully pantomimed dissecting an already exposed landmark. Chris had minimal interest in dissections, completely content to allow his lab partners free rein. It was mostly me and Jake doing the cutting as the future surgeons. Addie planned on matching into emergency medicine and displayed the appropriate temperament for it. ADHD as fuck, a penchant to use humor as a coping mechanism, and a startling, eccentric memory of random bullshit. Addie didn't exactly hate wielding the scalpel, but her attention span waned quickly. How'd it go? Fucking amazing. Turning my attention from the workbook, I arched an eyebrow. A lady doesn't kiss and tell. Chris and Addie exchanged lecherous looks. What? I turned the page, landing on our new unit, the chest. Striations drawn on the pec muscles gleamed under the fluorescence, lean and delectable on the page, making me think of the beef carpaccio at my favorite Italian restaurant, Pastuesca. Addie snorted. Shut up. You don't kiss and tell, please. What about when you banged the Christina Yang wannabe and gave us all the gory details? We didn't bang, I hissed, dropping my voice. We just made out, okay? Addie rolled her eyes. Sure, miss, I didn't have sexual relations with that woman. Whatever you say. I drew myself up to my full height of 5'4". And if you must know, yes, Mo went home with me after the party. Chris prodded our cadaver's pec with his gloved index finger. If she touched Jeff, I swear to God. That's not the only pussy she touched, Addie quipped, drawing a laugh from normally stoic Jake, hard at work exposing the pectoralis major muscle. Oh my, Chris remarked, eyebrows raised. That's naughty. Fluttering flitted in my chest, heart jackrabbiting against my ribs. An expansive warmth of contentment filled me at the thought of Mo's dating me. We'd be a power couple, 2 hot doctors with their rescue cats, world travels, eating at Michelin star restaurants, making love in exotic locales. Unable to hide my exuberance, I spilled my guts. Guys, she's fucking perfect. I carefully dissected tissue, exposing the pec opposite of Jake. The formaldehyde turned the sinew a muted red, not nearly as appetizing as the rendered drawings in our book. Like, seriously, she's gorgeous, smart, kind, unbelievable in bed. Nice, Jake remarked. And our connection is just unreal. I understand what all the songs are about finally. Soulmates, 2 becoming 1, like the Spice Girls said. A meaning for being. Only a lesbian would reference a Spice Girls song. Chris leaned back. You do seem less morose. I figured it was all the serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin from the orgasms, but you're all Twitter-pated. The boost in neurotransmitters does help, not gonna lie, but honestly, I think I'm in love. The admission sent me swooning, my head growing light as if I'd imbibed a glass of Pinot Noir. Ha! Addie chortled. Oh my god, you're such a lesbian. Next date is a U-Haul rental, mark my words. Jake's brown eyes flickered up. I'll take that bet. I blushed, hoping my mask hid the evidence. I know. It sounds cliche and cringeworthy, but there's something there. I felt it. With her, I am whole. Scene. I like that.
Absolutely glorious. I was trying not to laugh, but there was a few points I had to when you were doing the college bro speak. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Well, listeners at home, be sure to buy it, read it, and review it, and do not spoil it. So, last question. Have there been any life-changing events since we last spoke?
Life-changing. We did get an orange kitten named Wally. So I don't know if you know a lot about orange cats, but they have a bit of a reputation.
As naughty?
Very naughty. Very naughty.
Okay.
We joke that Wally has the devil in him, which is, like standard. It's fine. But he's adorable and very sweet, but he also drives me insane and makes me just want to just squeeze him to death because he's so bad. But it's endearing. And then I've gotten a lot more into art. I've always been big into sketching and drawing, but in medical school and residency, I didn't have time to really pursue anything creative. So now I'm doing that with acrylic markers and just having a good old time. And not to humble brag, but I'm going to, because, why not? This last year I was nominated for 2 pushcart prizes. So
nice.
Put that in my feather in my hat, so yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, NJ, as always, it has been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate you always keeping me in mind.
Absolutely. Well, as we bring the show to a close, is there anything you'd like to plug, reiterate, or let your readers know about?
I would like to plug a few things. This is actually one of the first times that I've been chatting about this. So in the last year, I've been part of a secret project that I could finally chat about. My friend, I know, right? You like a secret, don't you? Mm-hmm. My friend Wolford Jones put together a group of writers, and we've been working on what we have called the Revolver Project, where the common denominator between each story is a revolver that changes hands in, various ways. And per my standard, my tale is one of revenge. My story follows Sam, who is a woman that with a spinal cord injury who's bent on serving up revenge to the man who put her in her wheelchair. So I really like Sam, and definitely keep an eye out for when that is coming out. We don't have a release date as of yet. And then I have a short story collection coming out in May, and because I like you, Vince, I'm going to give you the first dibs on this. I'll give you the title of the collection, Time of Death, which I like quite a bit. I know, right?
Yeah.
So it's coming out this May with Winding Road Stories, who did The Broken Heart and The Fatal Mind, and it's just a collection of short stories and grabbles. You know, the medical horror theme running pretty thickly through there, and it's got werewolves, zombies, ghosts, evil nuns, like you name it, we got it.
Awesome. That's plenty to keep people busy. So we all look forward to that, and yeah.
I would recommend your tetanus is up to date, so just take that with a grain of salt.
Tetanus is up to date. I am actually in the process of doing that right now. How did you know? I'm going to be doing like precepting students in a hospital, so I have to get my Tdap.
I sensed it looking at you as like, that's a man whose tetanus is not up to date.
Oh, God, I have that look about me. Son of a bitch.
Written right over your face, bro.
I really let myself go. All right. Well, listeners at home, all links are in the description. And NJ, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday for a new episode featuring the best and brightest authors and filmmakers of dark literature and film. So until then, stay healthy, stay sane, and as always, thank you for listening. See you next time.